free agency talks are heating up as a writer reveals the next targets for Mike Grier and the San Jose Sharks to acquire, and one of them is a familiar face for Sharks fans. We're going to break down how much it will take to bring them in and how they fit into this lineup coming up on this episode of Sharks Digest. But before we dive into everything here, just want to say that 66% of you guys watching these videos aren't subscribed to the channel, so if you want to stay up to date on the latest Sharks news heading to a very, very busy offseason, make sure to go down below and hit that subscribe button. It's completely free. But with that said, we got to jump right in to this video as we've heard from the hockey news that they have some free agent targets for the San Jose Sharks for this offseason, and one of them being an old friend from earlier this past season in Mikael Granlund coming back to San Jose, as they do right here that bringing back Granlund to San Jose is kind of a signing that adds real value to a young roster. Obviously, before they traded him, he did a lot of the heavy lifting, which they kind of distributed between Celebrini and Granlund, and then after he left, it was kind of left all on Celebrini here to kind of pick up the slack, and obviously we've seen some players step up like Will Smith, William Eklund, etc., but you say here, he was taking on tough minutes, playing all over the lineup, and bringing up a much-needed level of composure. They also go on to say here, for a group still in the rebuild phase, still trying to find their place in today's league, he is a huge guy to come back and help on the power play unit, also help the evolution of Celebrini and Will Smith, especially by being able to carry the offense a little bit and be able to drive that line. Not that Celebrini and Smith need help driving their lines, but it definitely does help having such a skilled playmaker like Mikael Granlund on that line. Obviously, having a very high IQ and a veteran instinct is definitely key for him. They do say something that I do want to jump back in a little bit, but looking at his chart here from Scotia Stat Cards, they say obviously his defense isn't the best as a forward, but he's a pure offensive guy. We see here his primary assists, secondary assists, and expected goals are all very high, with a takeaway rate that is very high as well. A great penalty drawer as well, and he's great at blocking shots as a forward as well, and I really like this. To be honest with you, I liked Mikael Granlund all last year for the San Jose Sharks. I thought he was a tremendous player. It sucked to see him go at the deadline, but he did want to go out and try to win a cup in the final year of his deal, so it only makes sense for him to go out and chase after that. But now maybe he comes back here to San Jose to kind of settle in for the rest of his career, or maybe he only signs a one-year deal so that he can maybe do the same at the deadline. Come back, put his wisdom onto this young core, this young roster, be a great leader in that locker room, a great leader on the ice, and then at the deadline, the same thing does happen. The Sharks get some capital back for this guy, and he goes out on his way to try to win a Stanley Cup. But that's only if the Sharks aren't in a playoff position, of course. But if we just take a look at some projected contract situations for this guy, they have a 3-year deal being the most likely at around $5.5 million. Think that is a great number for Mikael Granlund. And when we're talking about cap, doesn't really matter for the San Jose Sharks at this point in time. They're like $45 million to spend at this year's free agency. So that's on a 3-year deal. But like you said, you can get this guy on a 1-year deal around $4 million, they say here. A 2-year deal around $5.1 million. It all depends on what Mikael Granlund wants for the rest of his career. He is a 33-year-old guy, so maybe taking that 3-year deal is best in his scenario, because then that brings him to 36, where then he's maybe thinking about maybe only taking a 1 year, maybe thinking about retirement at that time as well. So I think that is the best deal for him. Maybe even a 4-year deal is less likely in this scenario, but it is, about a 0.6% chance of him to take that at around $5.9 million. I do like the 3-year deal here. I mean, looking at some comparable contracts, you're obviously seeing Tarasenko, Jordan Eberle, Mikael Backlund. There's so many players that, around the same skill level as Granlund that are making the same amount of money. I would say Granlund probably has more skill than most of the guys we did mention here just then. I mean, right now, he's on fire. You see, he had 66 points this season with 44 assists, 22 goals. He really was able to gel well with the Dallas Stars, really helped Rantanen get into his own game with Dallas as well. They had a really good run in the playoffs. We really got to see how elite of a player Granlund is with elite players around him. Not that he didn't have any elite players with him in San Jose, but he had a lot of young players that have that elite potential, you know what I mean? So I think coming back to the Sharks is definitely a good thing for Mikael Granlund. I think just coming back, being in a familiar place and helping this young team get to the point where they want to be, maybe that's what's on his mind. But he could also decide that he just wants to go out and win a Stanley Cup. But he could also say, hey, I'm going to come back to San Jose, do the kind of same thing we did, and get traded at the deadline if we are not in a playoff push mid-season. But looking at him back on this line, obviously it is a familiar lineup than what we are used to seeing in San Jose, with him being on the top line with Celebrini and Tyler Toffoli. Obviously, this line was fantastic at the beginning of the season for this team. Toffoli being the pure goal scorer, Granlund, Celebrini being playmakers and goal scorers in their own right, and Celebrini obviously being a great all-around center as well. This line was fantastic when they did work here. You could also maybe see we see William Eklund and Celebrini have some great chemistry at the end of the season, so maybe you could see that flip up and down, where he goes to play with Will Smith and Colin Graff here on this second line. I think he could really help those guys out as well. But I like the potential of him coming back. I really do. I mean, I think it is probably the most likely scenario that we're going to see this offseason, but I want to hear your guys' thoughts down in the comment section on that. But there is a new player that was mentioned in this article, and that was Jeff Skinner from the Edmonton Oilers, obviously just making it to the cusp of winning the Stanley Cup and losing to the Florida Panthers. Now looking to get a new contract, as we see here from this article. They say he isn't a long-term answer, but he definitely does help young players like Celebrini and Smith. He has top 6 skill, knows how to find soft spots in the offensive zone, and can finish when the pucks get to him. Obviously, saying he's a great goal scorer, and will also, will bury those opportunities from the playmakers setting them up. They say here for the Sharks, it's appealing because they have so many young playmakers like Celebrini, Smith, Eklund, and they're giving their wingers a lot of chances per game. And they say Skinner might not drive a play or make the top line, but if you give him some structure, he's going to be able to bury the puck and create some offense to this team. There's a 20-goal season waiting to happen. Signing Skinner will be a low-risk, short-term move with clear upside if the price is right. San Jose should consider signing him. I definitely agree with this. I mean, if we just take a look at his stats from last season, he had 16 goals, 13 assists for 29 points, and finishing on a shooting percentage of 11.1%. Obviously, Skinner has been a great player his entire career, spent a lot of his time in Buffalo with the Buffalo Sabres, and I think he is a perfect fit for this team. I think getting another veteran guy in here where he can come in at 33 years old, show his experience to all these young guys, and help them grow and develop into great NHLers, I think is a perfect home for him. Like they say here, there's a 20-goal season waiting to happen. That could even be more. If you put him on that second line with Will Smith or Colin Graff, he could definitely bury some pucks in the net with some great playmakers feeding him across the crease in front of the net. And looking at some potential deals for Jeff Skinner, a lot of people are saying around that 1 year mark at $2.8 million. That's a 90% probability for this, seeing some contracts like we've seen in the past, like Thomas Tatar, Kyle Okposo, and even Jeff Skinner himself signing a similar deal in the past. And I think this is a perfect deal for the San Jose Sharks because you can get this guy in for the first half of the season. He can show contending teams that he can still score goals and be that offensive guy we know he is. Then that obviously increases his value at the trade deadline where he can go and hunt for a Stanley Cup. Obviously, being in his first Stanley Cup Finals this past year. So I think this is a great deal for Mike Grier. I think obviously you have a lot of money to spend. You have a lot of cap to toss around, and if you can get this guy in on a cheap deal that is a good flip deal at the deadline, it's definitely the way to go. It's going to help Celebrini and Will Smith be able to increase their development through the playmaking they're going to get out of Jeff Skinner and his goal scoring ability. Plus, just looking at an initial lineup, I do have that top line being the same of Eklund, Celebrini, and Toffoli, but I do like this second line of Skinner, Will Smith, and Colin Graf. I really do think that with Will Smith and how great of a playmaker we've seen from him at the end of last season into the World Hockey Championship, I think this is just a recipe for success. Having the passing ability he has and the finishing ability that Jeff Skinner has, it's only going to make for some great hockey. And Colin Graf, obviously, was shown a lot to the Sharks last year, and I definitely think he could, if they don't sign a right wing in free agency, could definitely test making this top 6 for opening night. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that down below in the comment section. But, we talked about bringing an old guy back, bringing a new guy back, both veterans, both guys that can help this team's leadership, can help this team develop through another year to maybe where not this season, but next season they could be competing. They could even, they could surprise a lot of people this year if they make some big signings. I think they could easily push for a playoff spot. I definitely think they have the talent there to do it, and with just a few key signings, they could be a team that do shock a lot of people this season. I want to hear your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section. Are you bringing in Skinner? Are you bringing back Granlund? Let me know. I've been your host, KC. We'll catch you in the next one.